Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today we're going to be talking about three premium ships that I have been waiting for quite some time. These ships have had pretty long development cycles. For those of you that don't know, the normal cycle date for a premium is about 4 months from announcement to launch. These ships have been in development for well over 4 months now. Some of these actually, all of these started development back in 2019. Some as far back as, well, I think October or even September. So we're going to talk about three of them right now. I've got the most recent information I could find on these three. Some of it is actually relatively new, but one ship we haven't heard much about since, I think actually before 9.3 came out. So anyway, the three ships we're going to be talking about today is Agir, California, and Odin. So let's go ahead and talk about Agir. So Agir is supposed to be the Tier 9 German supercruiser. It's supposed to be alongside Siegfried. And Siegfried, we haven't really heard a lot about Siegfried recently, but the concept was basically like, if you will, a Tier 9 Scharnhorst kind of sorta and a Tier 9 Gneisenau kind of sort. They kind of have that same effect going for them, except kind of in cruiser form. The Siegfried's supposed to have 6 15-inch guns, and the Agir has the usual 9 305mm guns like most of the other super cruisers. So the Agir, as of not the last update, but the update before that, Agir was its main battery wasn't that great and that accurate, but it had some pretty memey secondaries. It's, as far as I know, the only cruiser you could actually do a viable secondary build on it, and it would be effective, because they let the German secondaries be German secondaries, and they decreased the sigma on the guns, and I don't think they cranked Siegfried Sigma up, because I think Siegfried's supposed to have like 2.05 or 2.0 Sigma, but Siegfried was supposed to be more of the stay back at mid longer-ish ranges and rain hell down upon other ships with your 6 15-inch guns, and Agir was supposed to be the closer range brawler kind of sort of. At least that's what they were going for originally, and the main batteries guns weren't that accurate, and German dispersion, and I do believe it did have battleship dispersion, but the secondaries are still really good, and it's a cruiser. It's got the speed to chase down other cruisers, and when you have secondaries that can pin 32mm of armor on a cruiser with a decent amount of them, it's a pretty memey build. Would it do fantastically well? Probably not, but it sounded like a really fun ship, and from the clips that we had seen, it looked like a pretty fun ship. And then Wargaming gave up on that, and they made a couple of changes to, well, more than a couple. So the first thing they did was they increased the main gun range from 17 kilometers to 18.5 kilometers. Then they increased the sigma from 1.8 to 2.05. And then they decreased the reload time from 22 seconds to 20 seconds, and then they reduced the secondary battery firing range from 7.6 kilometers base to 5.3 kilometers base. And then they took away the accuracy of the secondaries, because German secondaries, the battleship secondaries are pretty accurate compared to other battleship secondaries, and they had given the Agir those secondaries range of accuracy, but then they set it back to other cruisers to where it's inaccurate, and you can't even go for a secondary build on it anymore, because if they had just decreased the range to 5.3 kilometers, you wouldn't have been able to get the memey German secondary range out of it, but you could still push it out to 8-9 kilometers ish, depending upon how much you want to build into it. And then they took that ability right away, and the little blurb of text that they put underneath all those changes is this: the concept of Agir initially implied close-range combat with the help of torpedo armament and secondary guns, which were uncharacteristically strong for the class. However, her constructive features, bad aiming angles of the aft turrets, and her armor didn't allow to fulfill the ship's potential in this role. New settings will make Agir a mid- and long-range ship, and she will still be effective in close-range combat against single targets. So because she had bad turret angles and her armor wasn't ideal for brawling, instead of maybe adjusting... I know you can't really do too much with the turret angles because you would have to change, the model of the ship and all. But I mean, it's not like the rest of the German line has fantastic turret angles. They really don't. So yeah, that's their excuse for that. So Agir has gone from being a very memey brawling ship to more along the lines of what the Siegfried's supposed to be, and which, kind of negates the trade-off for getting the Agir, because yeah, it has smaller guns, but it had very good secondaries, and you could go full meme on it. But now it's like, why would you take this over the Agir? It's got smaller guns from a longer range. The Agir has bigger guns, and I know the Agir does only have, I'm sorry, the Siegfried does only have 6 guns, and the Agir has 9. But still, I mean, it kind of killed it right there. And again, this is still work in progress, but this is the latest on the Agir, so my interest in the Agir has kind of dropped off after that. Alright, so the next ship we're going to talk about is the California, the Tennessee class battleship. And for those that don't know, California is supposed to be the refit of the Tennessee class battleships, where they slap the modern secondaries on it. And it looks kind of strange because it's a mix of that old super dreadnought type of style, but then you got the modern looking secondaries on it and a lot of modern other modern features on it. So the problem they were having with California was that it was too slow to effectively be a Tier 7 premium. Yeah, I mean, Colorado's top speed is 20 knots, but she has 16-inch guns. California has 12 14-inch guns. So, that wouldn't be the most ideal thing to have at a Tier 7, but King George V has 14-inch guns, and she only has 10 of them, because she does have the quad turret in the front, quad turret in the back, and then the single dual turret in the front as well. So they originally increased her range from I think it was like, I can't remember what it was, but I think they pushed it out to like 18-ish kilometers in order to compensate for her lack of speed. And it's like, okay, I can see that. My argument was, and I made a video on this a little while ago, why can't you just increase the speed a little bit? I mean, it's not like you behold every ship to every single historical, characteristic about it. You can crank up the speed on the California a little bit. Instead of going 21 knots, maybe crank it up to 25. I mean, I think that would make it a lot more viable at Tier 7. But for some reason, they just don't want to compromise on the speed. So then they increased the main battery reload time from 30 seconds to 34.2 seconds. Wow. On a modernized dreadnought. After Pearl Harbor, when it received a lot of upgrades, he's saying it's got a 34-second reload time. Okay. Wow. So now we have a slow ship with far below tier average reload time. That it's a huge target. It only has 14-inch guns. It does have 12 of them. But a 34-second reload time base. Wow. And the ship can't take the reload module. So, yeah. Wow. That's a bit of a sledgehammer to the California's face. Now, if the ship had, like, I don't know, for some reason at Tier 7, let's say, like, 17-inch guns. Yeah, okay, I can see a 34-second reload time. That's understandable at Tier 7. But 14-inch guns on a ship that's capped at American Super Dreadnought speed, so 20 knots, 34-second reload time, without any increase to the speed. Talk about kill a ship. Whew, dang. Yeah, and that's the last that we know of the California. California's got a huge nerf, and when it seemed that Wargaming was going more along the lines of these little micro nerfs here and there, a 4-second reload nerf on a battleship, that's a huge nerf to that ship. And I don't think the ship is overperforming that much. Because remember, Tier 7 gets up tier to Tier 9 a lot. So now you're expecting the ship to be able to fight at Tier 9 with 14-inch guns, with a 20-knot top speed, with a 34-second reload time on those 14-inch guns. I expect this to change before the ship releases. If the ship gets released in this state with a 34-second reload time, that's an instant no-buy from me. Alright, last one we're going to talk about is the Odin. the Tier 8 Scharnhorst is supposed to be. So it's pretty much a Tier 8 Scharnhorst. It has 9 305mm guns, German secondaries, torpedo tubes, and then, I mean, it's even got the same range as the Scharnhorst and Gneisenau does in the torpedo tubes, 6 kilometers, travel at 64 knots, and they reload time, and they reload in 90 seconds. So very similar to the Gneisenau and Scharnhorst torpedo tubes. So the Odin was supposed to be a Tier 8 Scharnhorst pretty much. Again, 9 305mm guns, German armor, and supposed to be a pretty quick ship. But, again, this had happened a little while ago. This is kind of old news, but this is the last thing that we've heard from Odin. They decreased its hit points down to 52,000, which is around Tier 5, Tier 6 hit points. So, a Tier 8 ship with 305mm guns, with German dispersion. I know they did improve German dispersion, but still. And wow, it's just 52,000 hit points. That is not a lot. Not a whole lot. Not a lot at all. And keep in mind, this is a Tier 8 with 305mm guns. That's expected to get up to Tier 10 and still somehow be able to perform having the hit pool of a Tier 5 battleship. And keep in mind, too, it's German, which means its armor is very squishy at range. And when you get up to the Tier 10, it's a very long-range standoff at the beginning of the match. And, yeah. So, Odin, that's the last we've heard of it. As far as I know, as of me recording this on the 21st, nothing else has come out about it. So, yeah, it's not looking very good for these ships that I've been waiting for. They've been nerfed pretty hard. The Agir was the only one that I know that was overperforming. The Odin, I mean, it was strong, but it had its weaknesses. I don't know why they nerfed it that hard. I would get maybe shaving off a little bit to, compensate for it being a pretty tough ship. But just absolutely nuking itself like that, I don't understand that. But hopefully, again, this is all work in progress. It may change, and I hope that this does change before these ships get released. I really do think the California's reload time will get probably buffed back up to maybe 32, 31 seconds, but 34 seconds is just atrocious by any way you measure that out. That's an atrocious reload time. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think about these ships in the comments down below. Are you waiting for them? Which changes do you think will happen to them? I'm really interested to know what you guys think about that. Guys, hope you're having a wonderful... This will be coming out on Wednesday. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. We are under 300 subscribers away from that goal. That is thanks to you guys. And I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you're staying healthy and staying safe in these very strange times. And I hope to catch all of you guys in the next one.